Whoa! What's going on, everybody? Tony here with Urban Girl Scout Media. We're going to talk about combat and abilities today in terms of Magic the Gathering. If you haven't seen the other videos and you're not really sure what the hell's going on, then I would step back and go watch those. There's about 4 or 5 that you can check out. Otherwise, we're going to get right into it, and we're going to use creatures as examples to figure out what combat is in Magic the Gathering, and then we'll do abilities afterwards. So for this, what we're going to do is we're going to use just a couple of creatures. We're going to show you how if one creature attacked and a different creature blocked, how that would go about. And then really what I would suggest is using different creatures as examples. We'll talk a little bit about the abilities that affect combat and give you an idea of kind of some of the main ones like Trample, First Strike, Haste, Unblockable. Some of those abilities that make it really tough to deal with creatures. So the first creature we're going to use is going to be just a mono green creature. It's going to be a little bit of a bigger creature, and it's just a common. It's not like we're using anything super special here. So here's our guy, Vort's Claw, and you see he's pretty big. So sitting at a 7/7, the first number is the power, the second number is the toughness. So he's a 7/7. If we attacked with them and our opponent blocked with, let's say they block with this Vulpine Goliath, it's a 6/5 creature, the blocking creature would die in this situation because it's dealt 7 damage, can only take 5. Meanwhile, our creature, the Vort's Claw, would not die because it's dealt 6 damage, but it can take 7 in any given turn. So it's important to know that the power and toughness, the toughness resets back to its number each turn unless you have effects. So at the beginning of the next turn, our Vort's Claw's toughness will go back to 7. But until the end of the turn, his toughness is affected by the combat damage, and the difference would be enough to kill him until the end of the turn. So another creature we'll use here is this Minotaur Abomination. It's a 4 power, 6 toughness creature. So if we attacked and were blocked by that same Vulpine Goliath, our Minotaur would die, the Goliath would not. So let's go ahead and talk about abilities. These are things on the cards that you've seen that now they're going to shape the way we play the game. So for example, we have this card, Air Elemental. It's a very basic card. It's been around for a while. And you see there it has flying. So that means that if it attacks, it can only be blocked by creatures with flying. And then if we look at the same creature, this Vulpine Goliath, we see it has Trample. Trample is just that when it attacks, if it is not fully blocked, whatever is left over gets the opponent. But again, coming back to this Air Elemental, and it has flying, if we attack with it, it's a 4/4 in the air, and it would have to be blocked by creatures with flying. So some examples of creatures that could block, there's a ton of creatures in Magic that have flying, but we see here that we have 2 creatures, this Avian Changeling and the Bird Maiden, that both could, in theory, block the Air Elemental if it attacked. We know from our previous videos already that both these creatures would die if they block the Air Elemental because their toughness isn't large enough to survive that attack. So pretty scary stuff so far. And you see that there's other cards with other abilities like Haste, things that pump up your creatures, First Strike. It's just really going to be important to read the card. Make sure that you read what the ability says. If you're not sure, ask to read the card, look it up. Don't be scared to do that because that's how you're going to learn more about the game. So actually, real quick, I do want to show you guys a few more cards, just things that you might see in games, and just pay attention to the abilities. Like I said, read the cards. They're not always going to have the full ability. Like you see, this one doesn't have the full ability for flying written out in text, so you do have to read it. But there are just a ton of abilities, so there's too many to really go into. Some cards have, when they enter the battlefield, they do certain things. Like this card brings in a token, and it has flying, so it's important to read the card. Some cards have abilities you can pay into when they're on the battlefield, like this. And then some cards just have abilities you don't have to pay into that you can still use. So, I think this is actually probably a good stopping point for this video. I don't want to overwhelm you guys. I kept the attacking, the combat real basic. The damage is dealt to the creatures, and then any creatures that aren't blocked, obviously the damage would get dealt to the opponent. We just kind of dealt with the damage between the creatures part in this video. I figure it's pretty easy to understand that any damage that gets through that isn't blocked by another creature, it goes to the opponent. So I don't want to go too much further into the combat. I suggest if you're following this series, trying to learn how to play, that you go out. If you don't have a deck, go and buy a pre-constructed deck or ask a friend to help you out. But I would just suggest going out and playing a few games. I don't want to overwhelm you with the rules and all the nuances of the game, but that would be my suggestion right now, is go out and just play in some games and test it out. See if it's something that you pick up on, if it's something that clicks with you. And then really here, just for your guys' benefit, is a handful of different types of products that you can go and find. These are pre-constructed decks, where some of them are the Planeswalker decks, where you get, a Planeswalker pre-constructed deck that you can use the Planeswalker in, and then a couple of booster packs. The other things that I have on here are like the dual decks, which just come with 2 decks that are pre-constructed. Both of these products they're going to be under $20 each. They are discontinuing the dual decks. So the Merfolk versus Goblins, the latest one, and they'll have another one coming out here shortly, and that should be the last one. But these are very good starter items. I just suggest maybe finding one either online at your local game store, or even the box stores. They'll have some of these. So find one that you like, or find something that intrigues you, and just go out there and play. Enjoy the game. You're going to have some issues at first, kind of learning the game and all the mechanics. So good luck, guys. I know that there's a lot in these videos that I left out. This is my first time running through it, so I definitely have more to do. I'm going to redo these videos down the road. I'm going to keep adding new series and new things like that, so keep checking it out, keep watching it, but go out, play some games. You're going to take a few on the chin. Just keep practicing. There are other great resources, and of course, ask people at your local game stores. There's some good people out there that you can play with, and that will help teach you a lot of different things. So hopefully you guys have learned and enjoyed through this first round of videos, and just go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you like what you saw. Comment below, and of course find us on Facebook. We do other things besides Magic, just kind of goofy stuff like that. So enjoyed it, guys, and we'll see you next time. Thanks.